not real. He's not real. He's not real. Oh my God. Everybody has not my name is Charlie Kirk.
Sad.
Oh, buddy.
Fuck that nigga.
You're gonna get expelled, dude.
Right here, man. This is the shit that y'all are teaching to the youth. This whole race war. Saying things like Charlie was spreading hate. And then these kids, they haven't done no research. I guarantee you this guy's never really looked into Charlie Kirk. He's only going off what he hear his boys say, his parents, that are probably all liberal. And he's got a chance to attend a university, get an education, but now he's about to ruin it over thinking he's defending racism by acting like a nigga. That's all this boiled down to. This is what we mean when we talk about black fatigue. This is why people look at us funny, look at us weird. It's because we do shit like that. And then he come down and talk about fuck that nigga. That's not right. You don't even know this dude. This dude got a family. You probably ain't even started a family yet. You're literally messing up your future because of your anger towards somebody you don't know and what you're being indoctrinated with. That's what these liberal institutions are doing to these kids, because he shouldn't act like that. I hope his parents didn't raise him like that, because I know how damn well I didn't raise my kids like that. As conservative as I am, as much as I rock with Trump, my daughter is in her senior year in college and she don't rock like that. She don't rock with me. She's very liberal. But what she do know is how to conduct herself. Like I said, I don't necessarily mind her being liberal. I just hope that she's not one of these crazy loonies that hijack the liberal party. I hope she's an old school liberal, that she take in those old values. That's the only issue I have with the left, is that they've been hijacked by feelings, by emotions. They're not thinking straight. Like, they can't even sit. You can't even hardly debate them because they don't sit on the foundation. They're all over the place. So you just go crazy trying to go back and forth with them. That's why I'll give them a little bit more, so like in public, I'll do it so that somebody with sense can watch and make their own assessment. But like trying to change them is not going to happen, because Charlie Kirk stood for accountability. He was a mirror, and you can look in the mirror and not like what you see and try to change it, or you can start trying to, or you can accept what's in the mirror and move forward and improve on that, or you could just hate everybody else. Or you could get mad at the person holding the mirror, or just break the mirror because you don't like what you see. And that's essentially what this is right here. And I don't want to keep it to just the black community, because all these races of liberals are doing this stuff. And it's sad, because if this was on the left, it would have been riots, protests, all kind of crime, looting, niggas running in and out the Apple store, with a shoe store with shoes and all kind of stuff, like we seen in LA and other cities. But the right, they're mourning him with these memorials and things like that. And because they're minding their business, the left wants to come in and ruin this shit. This is what's crazy to me. They can't mind their business. They really want the right to up and do what they do so they can point the finger back. That's really what this is. They want to point the finger back and be like, look, see, they do it too. Nah, that's not what's going on right now. We lost an important ally, and we're not out here tripping out, burning down cities. Why? Because we love America. Why burn down and loot and go crazy in a place you love? That's what love really for your country really is. And I'm glad the right is showing it and not out here flipping out. They're literally just holding people accountable who's celebrating death. I'm not for the whole get people fired off their jobs or reporting people. I'm not really for that. But in this instance, I'm okay with it because the right has been very turn the cheekish lately, which has been driving me crazy. I'm like, we need to step up and do more, and now they are. So yeah, hey, if you're celebrating the dead and doing what this guy is doing, yeah, you deserve to be expelled or fired. And just so I don't keep it to blacks, I got a white guy on here going crazy too. Let's get to it.
This, a post on social media from Fox News saying, Justin, a man has been arrested after vandalizing the Charlie Kirk Memorial outside of TP USA headquarters in Arizona. The suspect identified as a 19-year-old Ryder Corral there. So we're also getting this video that I want to show you of some of this because we've been diving into the latest with just some of this memorial growing. But this was the scene that was captured by Fox News a little bit earlier on. You can see people addressing this individual, potentially vandalizing what was going on there with this memorial, people stepping in, just average citizens, not necessarily law enforcement, but ultimately law enforcement did get involved as this suspect identified as a 19-year-old, as a man is arrested. So you can see police, Phoenix police there on hand, putting this individual in handcuffs or zip ties just across the street as so much has grown since Wednesday. And we saw the initial outpouring for Charlie Kirk, the conservative commentator there in Arizona, a group that he founded a dozen years ago, co-founded a dozen years ago. Obviously, you see this individual now being let off is the memorial balloons, flowers, flags showcased on hand, and that is concerned potentially for next week. Any outside agitators, that is a kind of term that police, law enforcement have been using, but obviously concerned in terms of that with the memorial that's going to be taking place next week in Glendale, Arizona.
All right, yeah, so yeah, that's the thing, and I'm glad conservatives are chilling out, minding their business, mourning peacefully, and not out here causing the trouble that the left will. Because the last thing I want to hear brought up is January 6th. And that's all they can go back to. They can go back to 5 years ago to January 6th. And if you had this debate with anybody saying, look how peaceful we're being, we lost a great ally, but we're not messing with y'all about it. They're going to go back to January 6th. They reach. It's just like getting in an argument with a toxic woman. She's going to reach all the way back to 1983 on some shit just to create a situation. I'm so glad that we are handling this how it's supposed to be. And like I said, this is what the left, to me, a lot of them, not all, but the ones who have hijacked the party, they're not happy with anybody or anything, and they have taken over. They're leading the party as far as the real hate, and they want to cause chaos in everybody's life. Why? Because they don't enjoy their lives. People who are enjoying their lives are either one, doing what I'm doing, trying to bring people to that joy, or they're quiet. These ones out here with the big fat rainbow hair and all that stuff, and you know, the hood dudes, because to me, by default, most hood dudes are liberal anyway, because you can't embrace conservatism and not follow laws, love your country, and want some type of structure. It's in the word liberal. Liberal is, you know, it's supposed to be free, and it was at first. It was like a freedom within structure. Now it's just freedom to do whatever the fuck you want to do, and that's just not right. See, I gotta call this out, and this is why I'm glad people are being held accountable for celebrating this man's death, because this man didn't spread hate. He basically was like, here's what I see is wrong, and here's how you can fix it. and you could take the advice. And I took a lot of that advice. That's why I am. He's part of the reason who I am today. Him and a few other people, and then some people close to me in my life. But his type of content is what I love to watch. I love to grow and come up with just different ways of different things I could do, different goals I can hit. Because now I'm like, hey, when I was liberal, I was making all the stupid decisions. And I'm arriving late in life to success. But because of people like him, if you want to say Kevin Samuels on the black side, they celebrated his death too. But people like him have sped up my success and my discipline. And a lot of people like to crack jokes and make fun of people who go on YouTube for advice. But you know what? If you're actually a smart person, pretty good IQ, you can comprehend, and you got a good moral compass, you could take in the good and throw out the bad. So it's not a bad place to learn. Like, not everybody has access to good mentors. And that's the point of technology. Technology was supposed to give you things that you otherwise couldn't get if you didn't have it. But you got to utilize it the right way. And I feel like the left has utilized it basically to indoctrinate everybody into hell. And I don't mean like a spiritual hell. I mean like a real life hell where people are following this stuff and they're wondering why now they got to turn and complain to the government that nobody's helping them. And they expect the government to cover up and make up for all the bad decisions they made. That's the whole thing with the left. That's why most of them are pissed. Because a lot of them struggle. They sing, like, especially like the single mothers. A lot of the men, a lot of these men that want to be pro-black, they're focusing on that instead of focusing on the business or focusing on their bank account. And they're all pissed. All they could do is, instead of look at themselves, it's the system. The system's holding me back. A white man's holding me back. With the women, that they want the systems, somebody should take care of these kids. Instead of, we should have been focusing on keeping the father in the household. Because it's the father that's going to teach the daughter how to find a good man. Because we don't live in primal times where, a man who is, a lot of the dudes on the street, like the pookies who don't think and they just willing, quick to shoot, they would have been good in primal times because, hey, they not thinking about how big the animal is or if it's going to kill them. They going to get rid of the animal. And a lot of the dudes now who think will probably, not survive back then. So if you don't have a father to teach to go against your instincts and to pick a man for now, they pick pookies because that's just kind of natural. And that's what it means to be civilized or civilization. You're learning how to act on now times versus back then. But we got to get past this, man. Like, let this man rest in peace. And y'all need to grow up. All right, y'all. Subscribe or at least like the damn video. I'm out.